So the bug zapper was kind of powerful, wasn't it? It's what we do. It's just what we always do. It's what everybody does. It's just trained in us. We go to the bug zapper. Feeding children, that's what your parents did. That's what their parents did. That's just what happens. But I think for a lot of us, the physical violence is much easier to overcome than the emotional side of it, the mental games that get played. I had a beloved uncle who described my childhood as emotional terror. He said it wasn't just the beatings, and it wasn't just the being starved, and it wasn't just the, you add all of them together and it's a nightmare. So let's talk about some of those emotional issues. Again, we're all going to have different ones because we're different people, had different experiences. But emotional trauma is more like a gopher hole. You can look up gophers and see how they run, and they crawl underground, and they do this and they do that. I'm going to take you over. I want to show you some maps. So the video is going to get a little weird. These are gopher mounds. Some of you may live in an area where this is normal. You have to have some pretty flexible soil for them to get around, so that's why they're not everywhere. But when we're having a trigger, or we're having an action or a reaction, it's often because we have tripped over one of these mounds. I have some seniors in my life, and this is one of their houses, and when they come out at night sometimes to let the dog out or do whatever, they've tripped over these mounds because they didn't know the gopher was there. That's very important. They didn't know the gopher was there. So what we do when we're dealing with emotional trauma, we go to therapy, we do this, we do that, is we'll often take this mound and we'll clean it up. We'll even push some of it back in that hole and make sure that we don't trip over it, right? It's kind of what aversion therapy is. There we go. We got that all flattened out. So it's not a problem anymore, right? I don't know if you can see. There's other mounds, isn't there? Okay, so let's do that then. We're going to clean that up. We're going to sort that out. Okay. There we go. No more problem, right? Oh, we got another one over here. Let's deal with this one. There. Now we're not tripping over it. We sorted that. We got that fixed. That's all taken care of. And then one day, there's the wrong kind of pressure. And the entire ground under it isn't handled. Step in the wrong place. You can call it stepping on a landmine. The hole's still there. But we went to therapy, right? We talked those issues out. It's all handled. We can't see it anymore. It must be dealt with. Wrong pressure, wrong place, wrong time. And we've got our foot in the ground. The bomb's gone off. So, the other thing about gophers is that they build these nice little homes. It's all underground. We don't see them. Now, they don't really go that deep. I know in dealing with gopher holes, I've decided that I want to dig around the property, drop concrete wall down, and make sure that no more gophers come in, right? Yeah, but sometimes they're there already. And you can catch them, and you can kill them, and you can do whatever you want. But gophers are an interesting creature. They're kind of communal. So even if you get rid of your gopher, right? You patch the holes, you've got the gophers, everything's fine. But underground, there's all these tunnels, and they go here and they go there. They eat the roots out of things. So if plants are dying, sometimes there's a vole or a gopher or something underneath that's eating the roots from the bottom. You don't see them, you don't know that they're there, but that's what's happening. So how do you get rid of gophers? You have to collapse the ground. When you catch your gopher or you get rid of your gopher, what happens is other gophers see that nice little home that's already built and they move into it. So even if you've gotten rid of one family of gophers, if you don't collapse the ground, others are just going to move in. So there's that, why do we keep repeating the same patterns? Why do we end up in the same relationships? Why do we keep tripping or exploding from stepping on those same triggers? You have to collapse the ground. Now, in physical land, it's really expensive and often takes some heavy machinery, right? Because you have to completely sink everything down to the level to completely fill those holes. Now, there's still no guarantee gophers from your neighbors aren't going to burrow back in, but that definitely keeps things at bay. Now, you collapse the ground, you get all of those tunnels all filled and all covered. It does take a while for the grass to show back up again. So it's an ugly, ugly, time-consuming mess. But if you want to stop tripping over gopher holes, if you want to stop stepping on a landmine or putting your foot in a place that the ground is going to collapse out from under you, you have to get to that core. You have to completely fill in those gaps. And usually when you do that with real life gophers, you put in barriers or protections or something to prevent new gophers from moving in. Because that is one of the things that takes a childhood abuse into a domestic violence situation. You may have gotten rid of the gophers, right? You don't live with your parents anymore. You're not dealing with them. You're not having them in your space. But now you're in an abusive relationship with someone who's very similar to your parents. And you didn't see it coming because you didn't collapse the ground. You left those tunnels there so that now a new family of abuse can move in. I think I'm going to set up in a place where the lighting is better and we'll move on. But remember, if you're falling into the same traps and you keep getting into a land of new traumas that are similar to ones that you thought you had dealt with, you might have some gopher holes. So start poking around the ground, start feeling it out, and see if you need to collapse the ground.